Feeding the babies is one of the integral parts of the morning routine at Big Bend Wildlife Sanctuary. All the babies, be it the birds, the mammals, the marsupials, all have to be fed first and every few hours in order to get them strong enough so that one day they can be returned to the wild. The baby birds have to be fed and taught how to survive on their own. The baby opossums are on their way to becoming strong enough to be out on their own. The next step will be to the outside pens, where they will gain weight, mature, and be a step closer to the great outdoors. Today is a special day. There are a large number of children coming to Big Bend Wildlife Sanctuary, not only to enjoy the young animals, but to learn about wildlife and the protection of such wildlife in general. Even though these kids were going to be here today to learn about these animals still have to be fed every 2 hours. Today there's Terry, Dea, and Mel available to care for the animals. John is actually out capturing a red-tailed hawk that has been injured in an area that is very close to the one where he recovered the red-tailed hawk that had been shot. But for now, feeding and caring for the babies is what this is all about until the kids arrive. With their stomachs full, it's time for the babies to take off on their own little adventure. Maybe climbing on a higher limb, or even finding his way out of his cage. Well, the kids and the parents are beginning to show up, and Miss Terry is telling them a little bit about what it is that they're going to be teaching. And as more kids show up, Miss Terry is getting ready to start the class. Mel is continuing to feed the birds.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Big Bend Wildlife Sanctuary. We are not a zoo. And these animals are not pets that you have. What we do is we give the wildlife a second chance when they get hit by a car to save people's lives. So not all the animals have it, but they can be carriers. From the moment their mama licks them.
Miss Terry told the kids about rabies and which type of animals carried rabies, not to touch animals in the wild or all that important information about rabies and animals in the wild.
But she's doing good now, and they are our only marsupial. I was going to show you her pouch. This is where her babies grow up. And she can feed usually about 13, but on average of 7 to 8 is her mom and stuff. And so I didn't want her to go to the neighbors and get hurt. So in order to protect her from getting hurt by others who might be afraid of her, we decided to keep her. And we had her descended so that I could take her to schools and stuff like that. Nothing to schools would ever invite me back if I didn't. So, and we also have an American crow. We'll walk closer to the building, you know, before you guys leave. There's an American crow down on the end. He's also a non-releasable. Nothing's wrong with him now, but hang on just a second. No, get you. When we got him, he was about 3 weeks old, and a little girl, about 12 years old, from Fort Rucker, brought him to us because she was, her mom and dad were essing up to Philadelphia. Anyway, they knew they couldn't take the bird with them, so they brought it to me. The little bird was sitting in a basket of hay, and they had been feeding him moist canned cat food. And that cat food was all over the feathers, and if you coat the feathers with food or anything else, it damages those feathers. And some feathers don't grow back until the following year. Well, to complicate matters, not only did he have all this on his feathers on his face, he also had severe diarrhea. And that had gotten all over his little legs. They didn't notice it. They just thought he was still being a baby, but he was getting sick.
Little birds that are exactly the same age mother and feed other little birds. And you'd say, they didn't learn it, and it must have been inbred that the little birds or these birds know how to take care of each other. And when you see a bigger bird that normally would attack a smaller bird just because of the virtue of bigger and littler, stop from eating and feed all the little birds before she will eat. This is what caring for the animals are. It's a full-time job. Is it necessary? We truly believe it is. There's no real reason for an animal to suffer. We should look at it and say, can we help it? If we can't help it, let's make sure that we're doing something that is within reason, that they don't have to suffer. And that's what we are doing. Again, Betsy and I started this back in 1988. We met Betsy. We do volunteer work, and we were down at St. Andrews State Park. She needed some help with some animals. It happened to be a bald eagle pair. I kept on looking at it as, that's a raptor, and it's got a beak that could take a big chunk out of me. I ain't real keen about that, all right? My wife, on the other hand, said, that is a beautiful bird. And for some reason, the two fell in love with each other. That bird was unreal to see that she could put a bald eagle in her arm, on her arm, that weighed approximately 8 pounds, and that bird would look at her straight in the eye and encase her with the wings. And I'm like, don't forget, it's a raptor. It can bite, and it never did. All the animals on this planet have a purpose. There's only one species on this planet that really doesn't have a purpose. And when you observe wildlife, where should you observe wildlife from? Afar. Okay. Can they hurt you if you're away from them? That's right. Mom and Dad, you haven't done a real good job taking care of our wildlife. All right. The new ones, the new young kids are going to have to take over and do a better job than what we are. Okay? So if you hear somebody at school that had a BB gun, or somebody that's talking that I got a new BB gun and I shot me some birds. Okay, is that cool? That's right. No, it isn't. That's right. You can tell them that's not what we're supposed to do. We have to treat every one of these animals as if they're injured and that they're hurt. Okay? If you're hurt and you don't feel good, are you the nicest person to be around? Or do you kind of scream at Mom and Dad that, I don't feel good, I don't want to go to school, I don't feel good, I want... That's right, so they're scared, okay? So these animals, especially the raptors, when you'll see them, they've got talons that are usually about 2 inches long, okay? On the very tip of them, they're about razor sharp, okay? They're like a needle, all right? I'll show you my gloves that I use, which are all the way up to my shoulder, and they're leather, okay? And I've had so many of them be able to puncture that leather with their talons. Would you like to go on a walkabout and go see some animals? All right.
Wow, what a great day. Information from Miss Terry and Mr. John was just fabulous. And Raven was there to steal the show. Thanks to Mel for handling the way she does. She kind of brought this bird literally out of its cage, its shell. He loved being the star of the show. So was Flower. Flower was out at your new house. And Mama Possum. They were all fantastic. Kids loved them all. And they loved all the other birds. Bullet and Lucky and Hooter. And all the little opossums that are in the cages outdoors. That's going to about do it for us here at the Big Bend Wildlife Sanctuary. We hope you enjoyed it. The kids seem to have a good time, and we sure enjoyed having the kids. So we'll look for you the next time. here in the great outdoors at the Big Bend Wildlife Sanctuary here in Coffee County.